You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. With me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And every week, I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid, working, unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready? Welcome to another juicy episode of the Unstoppable Actors podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. I want to introduce myself. For those of you that don't know who I am and you are brand new, firstly, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be diving into something that really destroys performances and actually makes us question ourselves as actors and whether we're good enough, which we definitely don't want. Anyway, before I dive into that, I'm Louise. I am the founder and artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio, and we train actors in both Sheffield, London, and online all around the world. And I've been coaching actors for well over 12 years. I've been taking them from unknown aspiring actors with blank CVs and not a clue how to get started or what to do, all the way to TV soaps, to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, and to landing representation by some of the most amazing agents in the industry. So you're in good hands, and it is really good to have you here. If you are returning to the Unstoppable Actors podcast, welcome back. I love having you here. Now, if you find value in this episode, please do rate it and review it. It really helps us help more actors like yourself. I remember back in the day when I was starting out, when I was 14, many moons ago, there was nothing like this available. There were no resources like this. So it meant I had to spend hours upon hours upon hours just digging and researching. And honestly, I would have so appreciated a resource like this back when I was first getting started. So if you can rate and review and share this podcast episode, if you find value in it, that would be so useful, and I would be so appreciative of that. Now, before I do dive into this episode, I want to let you know that in January 2023, our brand new 10-week method acting program will be starting in Sheffield. And I would love to invite you to come and audition for a place on it. There are 10 places available, and we will be diving into an absolutely massive amount of method acting exercises that are going to seriously up-level your acting skills and your acting ability. And this is the kind of training that gets casting directors and directors to take you seriously. So you get more auditions than you're currently getting, and so you also turn more of the auditions you're getting into paying jobs. So if you want to check out the 10-week method acting module in January 2023, just click the link in the description. It is literally just underneath this episode. That's the link you need to click. And as I said, I'd love to invite you to come and audition for a place on the 10-week method acting program, because, as I said, I've taken unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to paid TV jobs. And I know that's what you want. So I'd love to help you do that as well. Okay, so let's get into this thing then. So this thing massively ruins performances. And I want to know, are you doing this? I myself have done it. I've done it plenty of times. I'm going to hold my hands up right now. There's no shame if you are doing it. It doesn't make you a crap actor, but you do need to get in control of it. So it disconnects you from your emotions. So what ends up happening is you will force emotions, or you will pretend you're feeling an emotion, but you actually won't really be feeling it. And your acting can end up looking hammy and fake. It cuts off supply to your imagination, and you've got a massive imagination. I know you have. But when we cut off supply to it, what that does is it stops you believing that you are the character. It stops you believing in their reality. And therefore what happens is you're literally just muddling your way through a scene. And it doesn't feel good to do that. We don't want to do that. It also makes you question your ability. So you come out of a scene having not enjoyed it and questioning whether what you did was good enough and whether anyone enjoyed it. And then you start nitpicking at everything that you did. And whilst it's good to have standards, they are good to have, it's actually not good to nitpick at everything, because you can get in this cycle of ruminating about your work, and then before you know it, you're just not enjoying it at all, which is the reason you first started acting, isn't it? Because you loved it, you're passionate about it, you enjoy it. So what is this thing then? It's overthinking, just overthinking everything. And this can start in the character preparation. It can start in the line learning process, like overthinking whether you can actually learn all the lines. It can follow you through into rehearsals where you overthink absolutely everything that you do and how you're coming across and what your work looks like. And it can follow you through into final performances and also after the performance is finished, where you just literally overthink everything. So what is the problem with overthinking then? Well, overthinking causes something called mental tension. You may or may not have heard of this. Mental tension in method acting is what Lee Strasberg, who was the godfather of method acting, he developed Stanislavski's method and turned it into method acting, is what he described as being the occupational disease of the actor. So overthinking is anything that blocks your ability to create authentically and to be present in scenes and to believe that you are the character. Now, mental tension is very, very challenging to overcome if you're not aware that it's there, because it will block your performances, but you won't know it's there. But what it also does is it causes physical tension as well. So that means you can't embody the character the way that you wanted to. So mental tension is the first thing we have to conquer in method acting training. And it's what all actors of all levels experience at one point or another. So how can we do this? We have to make relaxation the number one priority in our method acting training. And you really ought to be making that the number one priority before you do any performance, whether that be voiceover work, whether it be stage work, screen work, or an audition. You have to relax first. When you relax, what you do is you quieten that voice in your mind. And the overthinking is that critical, judgmental voice in your head that questions everything. So let me talk to you about this. When you're questioning things, what you're doing is you're disconnecting yourself from your heart and you're disconnecting yourself from your feelings. And overthinking takes us into mechanical, robotic acting. Now, if you're not quite sure what that is, it just basically means wooden acting where there's no life in it. And I know that's not what you want. It doesn't feel good to do that kind of acting. So that's why we make relaxation the number one priority. And that's what we do on the 10-week method acting modules. We train you in that first so you can get in control of that judgmental, critical voice in your head and it can no longer take over your performances and ruin them. But then the second thing that we have to do is we have to nurture the imagination. Now, I know you've got a massive imagination, but under pressure, the imagination disappears, because it's not something that we need when we're under pressure. So we have to nurture it, and we can nurture it in many different ways. We can do lots of different method acting exercises that get us thinking spontaneously with our imagination, and one of them is sense memory. Sense memory is a very challenging exercise, but it is a very, very good one to do, because what it does is it allows you to answer the question, how do I create truth when everything around me is fake? Which is the basis upon which method acting has been developed. Because if you think about it, whether you're on stage or you're on a film set, it doesn't matter how spectacular these sets are around you. The reality of it is that everything is fake. It's a fake set. You are not really the character. This is not really your life. You are just teleporting and transporting yourself into it. But if your imagination is not on board, then you will be very, very aware of how fake all of this is. And this is then when that critical thinking and judgmental thinking and overthinking kicks in and takes you out of the reality of the character. So in method acting, we're always aiming to answer the question, how do I create truth when everything around me is fake? And that means getting your imagination on board. And as an adult, what's happened to our imagination is it's kind of become a little bit rusty. So if you imagine when you were a child, your imagination was wild, it was on fire, you believed everything and you could create things quickly and spontaneously because you had the belief. But as adults, life has got in the way and it's caused us to question things. And that's why our imagination becomes a little bit rusty. So that's why we have to continuously nurture it when we are training in the method, because we want our imagination to be on fire. We want it to be vivid. We want it to be sharp, just like it was when we were a child. Because, as I've already said, it allows us to believe that we are the character for the time that we've been tasked to play them. So we do it through sense memory, we can do it through personalization exercises, we can do it through private moment exercises, and these are all things that we go through in the 10-week method acting modules. But the other thing that we have to do is we have to learn to get in control and master our concentration, because when we don't master our concentration, what happens is we go into something called our misaligned imagination, and we misuse our imagination. I like to call it the misfiring imagination. And the misfiring imagination is simply, again, what I've already been talking about. It's that overthinking. Is what I'm doing good enough? Is anybody enjoying my performance? Oh my God, did I say that line right? Oh shit, what's my next line? I can't remember it. Or did I say that line with enough feeling? Am I getting the feelings right? Am I getting the character walk right? You know, all these things, and that's not an exhaustive list. There will be plenty of other things that you think about mid-performance that I've not included. But that is the misfiring imagination, and that creates feelings in your body as well. But what it creates feelings of is anxiety and panic, and this is where performance anxiety can come from. So what I want you to do is I want you to make relaxation a priority. Make sure you relax before every single audition or performance. I want you to also actively nurture your imagination. You can do this in many different ways. One way that I like to do it, which is a completely free way of doing it, is I just get nosy, really, I'm going to be honest. I go on a daily walk, and as I'm walking past houses, I go, oh, I wonder who lives here. I wonder what jobs they have. I wonder what their living room looks like. That's a really good, easy, simple way to get your imagination on board. But then you would need to develop that and take it to the next level, which would be through the sense memory, the personalization work, the private moment exercises. And then, of course, concentration is something that you need to nurture. So I want you to be doing that in your day-to-day life. Notice when your concentration is scatty a bit everywhere, because what you practice, you get better at. So if you've got a scatty concentration level in day-to-day life, that will follow you through into your performances. So what is the biggest thing you've taken away from today's podcast? I would love to hear. Leave a comment. So you can leave a comment in the review section if you're listening on Spotify or Audible or Amazon Music or Google Play. Or if you're listening to this on our website, just scroll down to the bottom of the page where it says leave a comment. Just drop your comment in there with the biggest thing you've taken away. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. And as a reminder, you can practice all of these exercises with myself, with my guidance and my feedback in the 10-week method acting modules. That is the training that will get casting directors and directors to take you seriously, and it will help you get more auditions, but more importantly, it will help you turn more of those auditions into paying acting jobs so you can fill up your actor's CV quicker. So the link to the 10-week method acting modules is just underneath the podcast. So if you just scroll down, you'll see it there. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in another episode. Take care. I have absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. Now, if you did, I'd really love you to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a review. And if you would like weekly injections of inspiration, you'd like mini method acting challenges to keep you making progress with your dreams, come and join the most supportive acting community online by clicking the link in the notes to help you become an unstoppable actor.